Welcome back to the Stand Up and Shout Rock Show with Wisk and Kev. We're coming to you live from the Salisbury Center Studios in Manassas, Virginia, fueled by Monster Energy.
With the mighty Roadducks. We got two of the mighty Roadducks, legendary Roadducks, I'll add. That name has been around for a little bit here in Northern Virginia.
I started the band with Bill Schmidl and Bob Gaynor in February of 1976. Did our first show on March 23rd at an abandoned house in Oakton.
Nice.
And it did not get raided. And we were too drunk to move our gear, so we spent the night there, and it was just one of the starts. And it was cold, but hey, we got a gig, man. You know, it was a big deal. And we were just so excited to be playing. And, you know, disco had become a phenomenon.
Yeah.
So to be able to get a gig at all as a rock band was, this is great, because every place had gotten rid of bands, were having DJs.
Yeah, awesome. Awesome. Were you doing covers then? Were you doing originals?
We started out doing a variety of stuff, country rock stuff. Poco, I had a couple of really good singers, and Marshall Tucker, Pure Prairie League, Little Feat, Eric Clapton, you know, stuff like that, trying to do a variety of stuff. And bands at that time were either top 40 or real heavy.
Yeah.
You know, Foghat and Kiss and AC/DC. And we didn't have anybody that could sing that, the real high stuff.
Yeah.
But we could do the country harmonies and the country rock. And we didn't like the country because it was just a little too, we were too hyper for that. So we liked the country rock, which kind of had the harmonies, but it still gave you an ability to be able to get out there and kick. Then I heard the Allman Brothers and went, okay. I was a 20-year-old kid when that Live at the Fillmore came out, and that was it. And the fact that we got to play with them 150 times was just, amazing. Get to see how I got kicked out of Lee High School for truancy when I was a freshman. I was 14, and my dad sent me to military school in Stanton, at Stanton Military Academy. And one of my classmates was Bruce Crump, who was the founding member and drummer for Molly Hatchet.
Oh, awesome.
And Bruce was in the 8th grade when I was a senior. So in late 78, the Roadducks were living in New Haven, Connecticut, and Hatchet was on their first tour. And we went down to see them. I did not know Bruce Crump was the drummer, and we went down to see him, and this guy and I are looking at each other, and we both had really long hair, and started talking and found out it was Bruce and Jay from Stanton, and they let us open for him. We got $50 to play with them in Baltimore, and thought it was the greatest thing that had ever happened.
Get money to do this?
Oh man! And there's 1,000 people at this place, the Seagull, and this is magic. So then we found out that you're only going to get $50 or $100 to open for bands like that. And we met the guys in the Outlaws and Blackfoot and Marshall Tucker. So the Wax Museum in D.C. went out of business, and we went down and bought their PA and lighting system.
Interesting.
Nice. So now we're able to book ourselves as an opening act for $50, but rent the production for $2,000 to $3,000 a night.
Yeah.
So we would do Raleigh, Virginia Beach, Richmond, D.C., Baltimore, Philly, Asbury Park, Stone Pony. You go to New York and play in Connecticut. So we do 7 or 8 dates in the 80s, and we do one set. All these places are packed because there's national bands, and we're making a fortune.
Yeah.
Because we got this sound and lighting system that we literally stole from the Wax Museum.
That is slick.
Because they went bankrupt, and one of our friends was the stage manager, and he said, "Get down here with your checkbook. They're having an auction, and none of them know what they're doing." So we literally bought $200,000 worth of stuff for $5,000.
Wow.
So we went from being just a putsy bar band, and now we've got production. We bought a truck, with a lift gate and all this stuff, and so you find that once you buy all this equipment, you have to have a way to move it.
Yeah.
And then you have to have guys that can set it up.
Yeah.
So it goes from 4 guys in the band, all of a sudden you got 6 in the band and 5 on the crew.
Yeah.
Dancing girls and elephants, and everything has to be moved and fed and clothed, and you have substandard transportation. I told Pete Evick when he was set to go out on the road for the first time, I said, "Pete, you need to take 3 things with you. You need to take a Frisbee, a loaf of bread, and a jar of peanut butter." And he said, "What the hell is it?" I said, "Because you're going to have a crappy vehicle. It's going to fuck up. You're going to be on the side of the road with your thumb up your ass, and the guys in the band are going to look at you and say 2 things. What are we going to do, and what are we going to eat? Here's the Frisbee. Here's the peanut butter and the loaf of bread." You asked Pete Evick, his first tour, second day, that exact thing happened, and he had the peanut butter, the bread, and the Frisbee, because but it's part of the way you build up the camaraderie.
Yeah.
You're stuck in this commonality of experience. it's, whether it sucks or it's great, you're enjoying it together, and you either give up and go, I'm not doing this crap anymore, this is too negative, or you figure out how to make it work, how to get a vehicle that you can depend on and things like that. And so over the years, I've had these different guys, and I had a bunch of guys that were good players, but they weren't real serious the last 5 or 6 years. And then I wanted to make some changes, and I called a friend of mine, and he said, man, you got to call Jay Powell. And I'd known Jay for years because he'd come into Jaxx and played and stuff. And I called him and said, man, I need a singer, and I think we should get together. And that was 3 years ago. So we've literally taken the band and completely redone the entire group with new people, Jay fronting the band, and been able to play all these. This year we're going to do 160 shows. And we've built up all of these places where we went for years and years. Everybody knew the name, the Roadducks.
Sure.
And now they're coming back and seeing us. And hearing Jay here, we're doing a new record over at Q. Okay. So all these things have come together because of this guy from Strasbourg that's changed the entire dimension of the band and the vocals, and it's working out great. And I'm 72. I'm an old guy. I've been doing this. Tonight is show number 5,756 in the Roadducks.
Dude, I never would have guessed that you were 72. Like,
and
I
He keeps it going on.
I got a good life. I got a great daughter that takes care of me. I've been dating the same woman for 27 years, and things. I go to school. We've been married during the week. I get to play on the weekend, so I get to be an intellectual a couple of days and a dirtbag most of the time. So there's balance, and it works out great. I have wonderful friends.
Yeah.
Pete Evick is producing our record.
Oh, excellent.
Jeff Salisbury and Pete Evick have been friends since they were, in elementary school. So all of these people that I've known and run into over the years and stuff, we're still seeing and doing business with, but everybody's moved on up. And so now it's just this is great. How could you, after owning Jaxx for 20 years and knowing what's involved in a club and come in this place, I'm so happy for you guys and Jeff Salisbury and the fact that we still have a venue like this in Northern Virginia, because this is hard to do. If this was easy, everybody would do it.
Sure.
And they don't.
Right.
So places like this need to be supported. Otherwise, they're just going to go the way of the buffalo. We're all going to sit around with our thumb up our ass, smoking good Virginia weed and going, gee, I wish I had a live place to go see music, man.
And on that note, it's classic rock night here at Salisbury Center. If you're listening, watching the show, because we're streaming live, get in your car, get down here.
Yeah.
Come support live music in the D.C. area.
Yeah. Yeah.
We need you.
Yeah. Do you miss Jaxx in any way? Do you miss that scene? I
miss the excitement.
Mm-hmm.
A couple years ago, I'm friends with the guys at Nissan, so I get Jiffy Lube, and they give me a backstage pass so I can walk around. I just like to walk around and talk to people. And I went to see Iron Maiden. And I'd had Bruce Dickinson play at Jaxx a wonderful guy.
Yeah.
And I run into Pete Evick.
Yeah.
So, between hanging out with the rock star and the former club owner, literally 1,000 people came up and talked to us and they're all Jaxx people.
Yeah.
And, so I see these people on a regular basis at the metal shows. They're all very, we missed the place. We had so much fun. There are a lot of great memories for people. I miss the energy, especially when Kix, Rat, Cinderella, all those guys I was friends with, Foghat, the Southern, Greg Allman, all those guys that would play there. It was so exciting.
Yeah.
And it brought it, and I grew up, my parents' house was on the golf course next to the place. So in my backyard, my dad had been president of the country club in the 60s. My lawyer was Matt McConnell. His mother was Elaine McConnell, who was the Springfield supervisor on the Fairfax board for 42 years.
Okay.
That's how I got my license. That's how I was able to have a screaming rock club next to a very bucolic country club. In upper middle class West Springfield.
Yes.
And, and I'm doing the Misfits, and the people are like, my God, the aliens have landed here. Which I got the biggest kick out of that stuff. And, the funny thing is our keyboard player, John Booter, had gotten an MBA at Syracuse, brilliant kid from New York. And he calls me when I bought Jaxx in 94. I opened it in August of 94. My first show was Great White.
Yeah.
And in 96, John Booter was working for the Department of Defense. He was buying weapon systems for the Marine Corps. And he calls and says, man, I've hooked you up on the www. You got a website and you're good to go. And I said, what in the hell are you? And so he's trying to explain to me about the internet.
Yeah.
And I am like, whoa, dude, I didn't know what it was like. He was tripping and I was stuck. I had no idea. So a week, he says, you got a website. It's got maps. It's got hotel, all this information, your concerts and stuff. So a week later, I'm working the front door, and we got Blue Oyster Cult. And there's a really nice couple comes up, and they got licenses from Charleston, from South Carolina. And I said, you guys live up here? And they go, no, we live in Charleston. And I go, you up here on vacation? They said, no, we drove up to see Blue Oyster Cult. I said, well, how the hell did you find out about Blue Oyster Cult down in Charleston? They said, we went to the Blue Oyster Cult website, and they had a hyperlink to yours. So I called John Booter and said, man, I need a hyperlink. So we put hyperlinks on everything.
Yeah.
We were the first place to have a website. The next thing I know, I got more people from Ohio and Pennsylvania in the club to see Savatage than I've got from Fairfax County.
Right.
And half of my business started coming from further than 200 miles away.
Right.
When I first opened the place, Hammer Jaxx had just closed. So there was a big void from that major scene over there. And I tried to continue doing many of the same bands. And a lot of them, you know, because there was no other place for them to play. Seth wasn't doing them down at the 930. He was doing all alternative stuff. There was no Tally Ho. There was no State. There was none of these other places. So I kind of was able to get a lot of these bands to play, and we developed a relationship. And they kept coming back, and they, you know, we'd only held 500 people. But they know it was going to be sold out. We would do stuff for the European bands. Being a musician, if they were going to start their tour on a Thursday, it was much cheaper to come from Europe to D.C. than to go to New York or to Los Angeles. And if they were going to start for me on a Wednesday or a Thursday, I'd let them come in Wednesday and set up. I'd close on Wednesday, let them set up so they could rehearse. They didn't have to rent rehearsal space. I'd feed them the extra day. So, you know, happy fed musicians are happy guys. They'd go back. And so I was getting Hammerfall and Meshuggah and Amon Amarth and all these killer, really heavy bands from Europe. You know, it's a real small scene over there, and you got to go play at Jaxx. So I was able to get so many of these people, and then we got this website that's working, and all things were to just. And then the guy that owns the shop and that had a computer store, he's still there, TCI Computers, Abi. This Afghan guy calls me over one day. He says, "You know, Jay, I close at 6 every evening, and I have a T1 line." And I said, "Well, what is that?" He said, "Well, I can hook you up with a router, and you can use my T1 line because you could stream your concerts live." This is in '98. So I did Uriah Heep, their first date in America. I did the Uriah Heep tour, and we streamed it live. 2 days later, I get an email from some guy from Africa that had listened to it in his village on the internet. And whoa, dude, this has gone from, you know, me having a club in my backyard where my friends can come to now I got some guy from Africa sending me an email going, man, this is really cool. So you realize that the whole dynamic of music had changed because of the internet and streaming and all these different platforms and things that were coming out. So it was an exciting time to see the changes that were happening in music and the way that music was being presented. But it was also a challenging time because they were trying to figure out how to monetize it so the bands didn't get ripped off. So, you know, it really interesting how to do that. And now, between Jay being in a band his whole life and Michael, our bass player, and myself and Jeff Bean, got all these really experienced guys, we don't know what to do, but we know what not to do. So we've been able to eliminate a lot of things that were the negative, and we've been able to buy sound and lights and a bus to move all this stuff, and, you know, everything but the dancing girls and elephants. And then going into the studio, Jay here, and you need to start talking, bro.
But it's so interesting to listen to.
I know, and I'm on a roll, man, and I need to shut the hell up. But Jay has made all the difference in the world, and I want everybody to know just what a phenomenal singer and just a great guy to be in a band with he is.
Why, thank you, Jay. No, it's been a hell of a ride, actually, coming into the Ducks, man. Because but before this, I pretty much was just kind of making a living being an acoustic player. I've been in plenty of bands, but I was just kind of sick of the whole thing, man. And Jay came along. Well, a mutual friend of ours actually kind of connected us on that. God bless Moki Blauser. He was. I used to be in a southern rock band called Ambush with him years ago, and he was the one that I guess let me hit, because I guess you actually might have tried to hit him up.
Well, I called him and I said, Moki, I hadn't talked to you for a couple of months. How you doing? He said, man, I'm fucked up, man. I'm dying of cancer. I'm in the hospital in Winchester. And I said, oh God. I said, well, you know, call me when you're. He said, no. What do you need, man? And I told him. He said, you got to call Jay Powell. So I called Jay, and the next day Jay and I got together and had a meeting. The next day I called to talk to Moki, and he died. So his dying gift to two of his old friends was to hook us up together. And so this was not a cosmic serendipitous. Something aligned and something happened because it just clicked between he and I. and we were able to. This is the way I'd like to do things. This is the way I've done them in the past. What do you think? And so
we agree on a lot of things, man.
You know, he runs the music. I run I take care of the management and the booking and all of that stuff. And I do it because I get to play drums.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to just be a drum. Then I own my club. I can't play. I got to run the club. And my love has always been being in the band.
Yeah.
And now with these guys, it's magic every night. It's fun. We have a great time.
Cool.
Now that weed's legal, we can legally get stoned and, play some music and just, old hippies having a good time.
Yeah.
And people have really responded to the band, hence, the 160 gigs this year all over the place. And the new record and the deal we're going to get either with Atlantic or Capitol, the future's real bright, but it's fun. It's not, oh, God, we got to do all this. We get to pick and choose where we play and how we do things and how we present ourselves. Well, you guys will hear us tonight, and of course, I think you're going to have you're going to go, my God, I cannot believe it's the same band because we drank a lot of alcohol, and so drunkenness, like the Kinks used to say, tales of drunkenness and cruelty. We were experts at that, but none of us drink. Jay will have a beer every now and then. I'll have a glass of wine occasionally, but it's certainly not the Jack Daniels and the Budweiser and the cocaine and all the hookers and blow and all the stupid shit. No wonder none of us had any money. I mean, I wonder why.
Right. I was going to ask you
care about it in your 20s.
Is that like you've described great longevity, like both of you in different avenues and throughout your career? You think that's the secret, like kind of backing off?
Well, you better love what you're doing in the first place, man. If you're in the business to get rich, you're in the business for the wrong reason.
Yeah,
straight up, man. If you don't love the process, if you can't get into the process, why are you here?
Yeah.
Why are you here, man? Because if we didn't love doing this, man,
I still got to pee 3 or 4 times before we play and bite my nails. I still get that feeling in my stomach like I got to take a note home from the principal to my mother after school and your guts are churning.
Sure.
And I call that the fire in the belly. And I said, man, when I no longer have that is when I'm going to quit, because if I just don't have that spark and still now playing here tonight, I'm, all excited, new place, you want to do well and stuff like that, get the ball rolling. Jay lives here in Manassas, so got some old friends here and stuff, and you want to do well. So the vibe is just, wow, this is so conducive to what you want to do. And if you can't play well under these circumstances, you got no business being in this. I would think.
Yeah.
Is this your first trip down here to the Salisbury Center then?
No, I've never played here before.
Okay.
But no, I was actually hanging out a couple of weeks ago with watching Enough's Enough out here. And our boy Pete, man, I've seen him do his thing here. Really got a shout out to Pete, man. I don't know if you ever get him to be your producer in a studio, man. This cat knows his shit.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
He's got to be one of the nicest guys ever.
Sure.
I mean, honestly, just a super sweet guy. Yeah. But to look and talk to him, you'd never go, this guy is this dynamic, animated, in your face. This is what I mean. It's like he goes into this different mode, but it's inspiring. Yeah. And he's right.
Yeah.
And, the proof's in the pudding and the results. I'm listening to the results and I'm like, God, this is phenomenal.
Yeah.
And he's mixing a lot of this in his apartment here in Manassas.
Sure.
There's technology.
So you don't need to go to, and I said, Pete, do we need to go to L.A. or Nashville? He said, why? He said, stay at home. And he said, Q. They got the same gear at Q they've got at these other places, but what they don't have in L.A. or Nashville is Pete Evick.
Right. Yeah. He was our first podcast guest. And how long did that go?
It was well over an hour.
And it was a comfortable hour. It wasn't.
He's the real.
I'll buy that.
Yeah.
He's the real deal. Him and Bart. And these guys were all in a band called Midnight Suite, and they come over to Jaxx as a bunch of 15-year-old kids with hair down to their ass.
Yes. That's where I actually first met you. I was tagging along with that crew. You know what I mean? So I was part of the entourage, basically, that came in with
But they came in the first time, and they were so far better than anybody else in their peer group, and just a cut above talent-wise in the way that they approached it. I said, these guys have got something, because they were serious.
Yeah.
And you could tell Pete Evick, had that focus.
Yeah.
And nothing's changed. He's just accentuated the positive of everything he's tried to do. His kids are great.
Yeah.
I love the guy like a brother, and I've known him since he was, 14 years old.
Yeah, sure.
And, I told him when he came into the club the first time, I said, son, you know, you're probably not going to make it in this business unless you get yourself a haircut. Every time he sees me, he says, what do you think, man? I still haven't gotten a haircut. It's okay now, Pete. Don't worry about it, man. It's good. You're good, bro. You're good.
So you guys have had, like Jeff Wisk said, great longevity, have had very long careers. Technology in the music industry has changed quite a bit from when you were starting. Talk about that. Has that been a good thing, bad thing? What's your perspective on?
Well, I think I had to be kind of dragged kicking and screaming into the digital age when it came to the recording process. Old school recording musicians love that 2-inch tape,
right?
And of course you're paying $300 a reel to put a single song on it, and there was a lot of warmth in it, but in the digital age, though, we've really gotten used to it now, and now I truly appreciate actually being able to do that, because really it's more cost efficient, but there's a lot more you can do now. If you have one slight bad note, it can be corrected.
Sure.
Although all you young musicians, please rehearse.
Correct it yourself.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing worse than listening to an album that you love, and you go see the band play live, and you go, what the fuck was that?
Exactly.
Either everything is sampled, and nobody can sing, and you can tell the guy is not singing.
Right.
So what we do in the studio, we can do live.
Right.
We're alive because we've played so much. And I said, I don't want to be a one-trick pony. I have bands come into Jaxx, had multiple albums. Everything sounded like a different version of the same song for 10 years.
Sure.
Okay, I said, let's do a variety. Let's have everybody contribute. Let's have everybody write. Me and the keyboard player wrote a song. I wrote the lyrics. He's writing the music. Jay's written stuff. Our bass player, Dexter, our guitarist.
Yeah.
So everybody's participating. We got a percussionist, not here tonight. He's coming back from the beach. But Paul Thompson was in the jazz band at Fairfax High School, which you had to audition to get into and be able to play that with Dick Heinze, and they were world class and stuff. So he's not only a great drummer, but he's a hell of a percussionist that really adds that that Allman Brothers, that just whoa, dude, it gets your ass up and you're playing with the blues and stuff. It just adds that bottom end. You're doing the funk. It really adds that texture to what you're trying to get to appeal to people. And when we talked about doing a record, I said, every station in every city in America has a classic rock station, but there is no new classic rock. It's still Rod Stewart, Pink Floyd, Bob Seger, Led Zeppelin, the Beatles. And I said, if we could release a record with good vocals, and stuff people could dance to that's produced well, there is a market, and we've found from going out playing. And we get a lot of young people come see us, but we have a lot of people between the ages of 50 and 80 that are coming, that are still like to party. They're still shaking it down and having a good time. And they're the kind of people that we're hoping to sell this record to. And Pete Evick says, man, you're going after a completely untapped market that we're going to be able to access. And we've got a manager, a guy from works with vice president of Live Nation. And so we got these different things, and I'd known these people for years, and the record thing and stuff, and I didn't have the backing with the right guys in the band that really wanted to commit. It wasn't that the guys I had before they were great players, but they got lives, wives, and other jobs and stuff, and just couldn't commit. And these other guys that I got now all were independently able to do things, and Jay's a master carpenter, so they had ways that they can do things and make a living, so we could afford to do this, because it takes money to get started. And now we're almost even and get to actually start making money with the new record coming out and this massive PA and lights and all this stuff. But that's okay, because we're used to not having any money and not having anything. So now we got the tools that we need to be able to go forward. We can produce our own, it's Mickey Rooney and Judy Garland. Hey, my dad's got a barn. Let's go do a show. We got sound and lights. All we need is electricity, and we can literally set up any house. No bar too far, no hall too small. We can, got the ability to go do it. And a lot of guys do, I don't want to. Had one guy go, man, you guys play 10 times a month, man. I get tired playing once. Okay, well, that's great. Then just play once a month. Go out and be a weekend warrior occasionally. But there's other guys that really like to play. And when you're doing a circuit of different places every 3 months, you never get. It's not like, we played Ocean City for 10 years at the Purple Moose from Memorial Day to Labor Day all summer long. which was a great gig.
Sure.
But by the time, the middle of August,
Right.
just get me out of here. I don't want to smell old beer and popcorn. I've had enough. I've been to, I've had enough French fries and Thrashers here. So, and we played Key West for years, the ski resorts in upstate New York. So we've been able to go to these great places and have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And now we're just, with the Electric Palm and the Harbor Grill down in Woodbridge, playing these marinas, Colonial Beach.
Yeah.
These are fun. We're going back to Ocean City for the first play in Fager's Island, August 2nd. First time in 20 years we've been in Ocean City.
Nice.
So we're getting back out there, and it's because of this guy that, you can get at. You can go in. I can get us in a place once.
I was going to say, give yourself some credit.
I can get us in once, but to get us asked back and get the kind of money we need is because of this guy's voice.
Sure.
And the fact that people are listening to him and going,
very cool.
Anybody could play drums in this band. My particular forte is booking, because I've always done it for the band.
Sure.
Because of our overhead, we couldn't afford to pay an agent.
Right.
15% of 100 grand's 15,000.
Yeah.
That's your eating money for a lot of guys. I still live in the duck house that we all bought back in the 80s.
Okay.
6-bedroom house. We had 11 people living there, and now it's just Bill Culver and his wife and me.
Uh-huh.
But we've been there since '84 and still got the studio in the basement. And
very cool.
It's still a dumpy house, but we made the inside nice, and we got wooded 3 acres of woods. It's quiet.
I don't believe the duck house is a dumpy house. I can't see it.
It was built in the early 60s.
Uh-huh.
It's a little long in the tooth, but we fixed the inside up, and I don't care about the aesthetics. I'm about the functional, man. And it's just it's a perfect place for old hippies to live and watch the sunset.
Cool. Very cool.
It's got a nice pool in the back.
So you guys, you just played a show recently with Kix at the State Theater. And so you're that obviously Kix played Jaxx a lot. We've been there
46 times.
I was about to say,
I turned 21 at
turned
Jaxx
21 at one of
the
those
Kix
shows.
show.
Yeah,
I've been friends with them since '78 when Steve was the drummer. Steve Whiteman was the drummer when they were called the Shoes.
Yes.
And we've been, when I bought Jaxx, I'd use it when it was Zaxx, and I said, I need you guys to help me make some money. And they said, whatever you need. So whenever I had tax problems, I'd owe the sales tax or whatever, to come up at 15 or 20 grand, I could book Kix or Dokken.
Oh, yeah.
Don Dokken played for me, and he sold out Kix sold out every time.
Yeah.
I owed the IRS $21,000, and things were going to get ugly in January of 2003 or 2004. And Dokken was playing New Year's Eve on a Wednesday in Detroit.
Yeah.
And I called Don and I said, man, I'm in trouble. What are you doing this week? And he says, well, tomorrow, New Year's Day, we're going back in the bus to Los Angeles. I said, bro, you off this weekend? He said, yeah. And I said, let's cut a deal here. So I wound up paying for the bus. They came from Detroit to Springfield, played 2 nights for me, sold out both nights. I made $30,000. I paid them a lot of money. They were thrilled. And I had Dokken at their heyday at the club, and it was magic.
Yeah.
I mean, Jeff Pilson, Mick Brown, these guys, George Lynch, they were on fire.
Yeah.
They got to play 2 nights, so they didn't have to go anywhere. The second night, they played 2 hours and 20 minutes.
Yeah.
It was, but things like that just kind of fell into your lap.
Absolutely.
But without guys like that, and Steve and the guys in Kix 46 times, and they sold out every time. I promised myself I would never promote again when I sold Jaxx, but the last 3 times they were at the State, I promoted those.
Sure.
And sold out with them and stuff.
Of course.
So we've got the track record, and they have played a long time.
Yeah.
They're not. They're very apprehensive about something happening to Jimmy, who's already had 2 heart attacks.
Yes.
And when you've been amigos since you were teenagers, the last thing in the world you want to do is turn around one night and, oh my God.
Of course.
So you can understand where they've had their run, and and with the money they're making, this was probably not an easy decision. Because they're really, really good at what they do. And once again, there's some of I found the best musicians were the nicest guys. The ones that were the assholes were the ones that weren't really that talented.
Right.
So what they didn't have in talent, they'd kind of make up for in attitude.
Yeah.
Vince Neil.
Yeah.
But I wish them absolutely the best of everything and continued success. Steve deserves. Jimmy.
Was it tough for you though? Like, knowing that was kind of your last show that you were playing, I can imagine what that would feel like with your history.
Well, and that they always brought an unusual level of excitement.
Yeah.
Even 3 or 4 days before they'd show up someplace, you could feel it was palatable. You
Absolutely.
could feel it, the electricity in the air. And they delivered every time because there's never a kick show where you got to wake people up because they fell asleep in the back, and the whole place is singing along, and they know the stuff, and it's a wonderful experience. I always thought they were one of the underrated heavy metal bands. I didn't think they got anywhere near the respect that they deserved.
No.
Absolutely,
especially for the quality of the shows that they've delivered over and over and over again. And still the nicest bunch of guys in the world, all of them.
And we've probably seen them 30-something times. I don't even know, but never, ever once was it a bad show.
Yeah.
That's what professionalism is, and you're going to make sure that the audience is going to want to come, and that's how you sustain it. You have people leave and they go, man, we had a great time. And that people will spend a lot of money to just, especially now, after COVID, where you realized how precious just going out and sitting outside, watching a band, having a beer, smoking a joint, listening to some music, and all of a sudden you couldn't do it. And if you did, you were scared to death that I might have given somebody, I might have gotten, and oh my God, what's going to happen here just for going out and having and now that things are back and people are better, there's such a degree of just, let's keep it simple. I'm happy to go back and just doing simple things right now that I wasn't able to do, and I realized how much I missed those simple things. We're playing a show next Saturday that they started doing during COVID. It's called the Island Party. It's at the mouth of the Occoquan, and these guys bought a 15,000 square foot island, Holiday Island, covered it with AstroTurf, and the last 4 years, it'll be the fourth year we've done it, we have two bands play.
Cool.
And last year there was 165 boats in a circle around the island, 1,000 people. Awesome. I mean, naked women, people jumping in the water.
Boat, exactly, the world of boat.
But because of COVID, when every place was closed, they started doing it so we could at least get together on the river and party on our boats. And it was such a success. And we're expecting 200 boats this year, and it's just so much fun. But it's simple. Just go out in the boat, jump in the water, listen to some music, eat some food, have a good time with your friends. Very cool. What a novel concept.
You talked about the legacy of Jaxx, and you've had, I'm going to switch to the Roadducks now, because you described a lot in a lot of detail, a long career, and obviously it's a big name that's been around the East Coast for a while. What do you, in your opinion, what is the legacy of the Roadducks, over time?
Hard work, fun. I have more people come up. And we used to see you guys at Tech or Radford or JMU or UVA. You guys were always so much fun. I never had anybody in the band that took themselves too seriously. We always realized that the synergy between the audience and the band was key. And that's why we always point out people and birthdays and stuff like that, and try and interact with the audience and make them feel that they're part of what's going on, as opposed to we're the band and you're the audience, and there's this east is east, west is west, and never the twain shall meet. And it's not that way at all. That you need these people, and any musician will tell you, you get an audience that's ready for you to play and they're fired up. You can feel the energy, and it is scary. It is scary. You get 10 to 12,000. We've only been able to do that a couple times. Leonard Skinner brought us on stage at the Capitol Center, introduced us, thanked us for keeping their name alive after they did not played for many, many years after the plane crash and stuff. And you got 20,000 people, and I'd never been on a stage with that many people in the audience, and it's like waves of sound, and it's overwhelming. I got off stage and my heart was beating a million miles, and I'm thinking, how the hell could you walk out here and try and and have to be good, because these fuckers have spent $50 a ticket or whatever. I waited 6 months and you guys suck. I'm really pissed. I'm not going to get laid. My wife's mad, and bought her a new outfit, and fuck you guys.
No doubt.
You're like, God, what the hell happened here? So you want to be able to produce for the audience and have people have a pleasant memory, and that's what they seem to remember about us. They always had it, and of course most people don't remember the end of the night, but they were told they had a really good time.
All right. Well, we'll let you guys get, because you're getting the showtime here.
Oh boy!
I was going to say we don't want to take too much of your time.
On, man.
I think we talked to F it all literally about 5 minutes, up to 5 minutes before they played. So they're running out of here with their hair on fire. They don't want you to have that experience.
Well, we appreciate you guys taking time to have us up here on your show, and we'll be happy to come back. And I promise I'll let Jay talk more the next time.
I like listening to you talk.
Yeah, and we thank you for the time, and we're really looking forward to the show tonight and giving us a little bit of time.
Thank you very much. I really
and
appreciate it.
If you're around again, we will love to do it again. So don't forget us. We'll be here.
Continued success to you guys in the club. This is really important that people participate and understand what the significance of this place is in Northern Virginia. Be thankful.
Nothing
Appreciate
like
it.
live music.
No, there's
Need it.
nothing
Gotta
like
have
it, man. And it's expensive. Support your local band. Make sure you come out and see these guys and stuff. Let's help perpetuate this for a long time to come so young people can understand what it's like to come to these places and get as much joy as we've gotten out of the years.
It doesn't work on the phone. It just doesn't work that way.
No, it sure doesn't, man. It completely different thing. Jeff, you guys take care and thanks again.
Thank you
man.
very much.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
See you guys.
All right.